Okay, students, so I was looking over the quiz that we did on Friday, and I was correcting them, and some of the grades were really good, but there were some really common mistakes like number 6. 11 of you guys got number 6 wrong. 10 of you guys got number 3 wrong. 8 of you guys got number 9 wrong, and 6 of you guys got number 12 wrong. Number 7, number 13, and number 12 were other common mistakes that you guys got. But on this video, we'll just go over 6, 3, 9, and 12. Okay, so let's start off with number 6. For number 6, we were supposed to find, let's see what number 6 asked for. Number 6 asked for, in the triangle A, B, and C, what is the length of BC? So for us to find the length for BC, which is from here to here, we need to use our trigonometric formulas. And the ones that we're going to use is the ones that involves this angle. And we're going to need the opposite of that angle because that's what we're looking for. And we already have the adjacent. So most of you guys, I think you guys figured this out, and it was supposed to be the sine of 60 should be equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 6. So the hypotenuse is CA, and the hypotenuse needs to be 6. So if I am to calculate for my length CB, which we can also call the opposite side, we can rearrange this formula, and I can take this 6 over this side, or I can multiply by 6 on both sides. I will multiply 6 on both sides. 6 on both sides. And these two, the 6 cancels off the 6, and it leaves this standalone O, which is opposite, and our formula would be 6 times the sine of 60. The sine of 60. So when you get 6 times the sine of 60, some of your calculators, instead of giving you some issues here. 6 sine of 60, instead of giving you something like the square root of these things, then you guys should have gotten 5.196 centimeters. And this answer is a decimal, but the options that were given to you were with this the square root of 3, the square root of 3, the square root of 3, the square root of 2, and we needed to find what is this in decimal, what is this in decimal, what is this in decimal, and the one that matched up with these ones, this 5.196 centimeters, would be your answer. So if you were to put in your calculators, let's see if this, no, it gets blurry. So if you were to put 3 square root of 2, you would get back 4.24. And this is not equal to our answer that we got, so we're looking for 5.196 or similar to that. And we know this is 3. This isn't 5.96. So let's keep going. But what about C? If I put 3 square root of 3 inside my calculator and I press equal, that means that I will get back 5 5.19196. So that's the correct answer. So C was the correct answer. I think most of you got 5.196, but you didn't know how to convert that um, into a square root. Some of your calculators should have given you 5 square root of 3. So if you didn't have those calculators that gives you back exactly 3 square root of 3, then that means you'd have to plug in 3 square root of 3 inside your calculator and get the decimal representation of 3 square root of 3, and then you would have to match that with the answer that you got. Okay, that was a common mistake. If you're not sure what this is in decimals, you plug it in your calculator, figure out what that means as a decimal, plug this in as in your calculator and figure out how much it means in decimal and see if you can find the correct answer. So that was number 6. Another common mistake was number 3. And for number 3, you were asked to find, for number 3, you were asked to find PQ. You're asked to find PQ for number 6, which is this side over here. PQ. So you were asked to find that side over there. And you were given this angle and you were given this side. So with reference to this angle, so that means you're standing over here. You're standing over here. You look at the opposite side and you have the 11 centimeters. So you have an opposite. You have an opposite which is 11 centimeters, 11 centimeters. And you have, what is PQ? What can we label PQ as if we're standing at this angle 50? We know that's the adjacent because this is the hypotenuse and that can't be the adjacent. So this is the adjacent now. So our adjacent is a adjacent because we don't know what it is. So the angle is 50 now. So I know the angle, I know the opposite, and I need the adjacent. So that means we'll have to use sine. What is sine? Sine is sine theta is equal to opposite over the hypotenuse. So we can't use that because we don't know the hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, like adjacent over hypotenuse, and we can't use that because we don't know the hypotenuse. Our only option left is the tangent theta should be equal to the adjacent over the oh no, that's not adjacent, that is, remember, TOA, SOHCAHTOA, TOA, so it's opposite over adjacent. So it's opposite over adjacent. So that's tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now, the tangent, and I am going to plug in the 50 degrees, which is 50 is equal to the opposite is 11 divided by the adjacent, which is going to be A. And I move things around. A is equal to the 11 over the tangent of 50. So I ran out of space. But this A is equal to 11 over tangent over 50 is what we're looking for. Sir, but why A? Shouldn't it be PQ? Okay. PQ is what we call it if we use the vertices to label the side. But when we label this in the trigonometric labeling, we use A as the PQ. So A is equal to 11 over tangent 50, and your answer is B. Your answer is B. Another common mistake is 9. Number 9 was another common mistake. And for number 9, we got this side, we got this other side, and we got this side. So what number 9 was asking you is that number 9 wanted you to find which side is adjacent to angles. No, that's not 9. Okay, so what 9 is asked you to do is to find x. To find x. Notice here, you weren't given any angles. No angles were given for this one. Remember, we have two things. We have two things that can help you do this. Is that we can use Pythagoras, and we can also use trig functions or trig formulas. So if we wanted to use the trig formulas, the trigonometric formulas, we need angles. But for this question, we only have sides. And we have the Pythagorean triplet, which is c squared, the Pythagorean formula, which is c squared, is equal to a squared plus b squared, e squared. So c, we know this is c, a, 6 is a, and 8 is b, because those are the legs. And we have c is equal to c squared is equal to a, which is 6 times 6 squared is 6 times 6 is 36. 36. And 8 times 8 is 64. So c squared is equal to 36 plus 64 is 100. Okay, so I'll just move over here a little while. So we have c is equal to the square root of 100, and the square root of 100 is 10. Okay, so now we have figured out what is the side of c, and that is 10. And that's just the first part of the question. The second part of the question is we want x. We still want x. So we use the same Pythagorean formula to say 10 squared plus the square of the other leg, so the square of 5 squared. So we have c squared is equal to 100 plus 25.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so once we have c squared is equal to 10 squared plus 5 squared. We know 10 squared is 100, 5 squared is 25. 5 squared is 5 times 5 is 25, so we have c squared. C squared is equal to 125. 125. So c is equal to the square root of 125. You could plug this in your calculator and get a decimal or a number. You can get a number. You can do that, but the option is already there. D is the option. So your final answer would be D for number 9. Another common mistake would be 12. And I was surprised with this one. I was surprised with number 12, because number 12, it gave you a little bit. It was just one Pythagoras formula that you needed to do. It was one Pythagoras formula that you needed to do. So the question says, the diagram below shows a ladder of 5 meters long. So they're telling you that the ladder, if the ladder stands up straight, that is 5 meters. Okay, that's the ladder. And if, let's say, one of these students is 4 foot tall, Okay? Let's say one of those students is 4 foot tall. If that student lies down on a hill, how tall is that student? Well, that student is still 4 feet tall, right? That student doesn't get shorter if it lies down on a hill. Same thing with the ladder. If the ladder stands up straight, it is 5 meters tall. And if it leans on this wall, then it means that that ladder is still 5 meters long. That ladder is still 5 meters long. So all you have to do is to do the Pythagorean formula, and we have c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. And c squared, well, we know in Pythagoras that c will always be your hypotenuse. C will always be your hypotenuse, and we have 5 squared is equal to one of the legs, which we'll call that a for now. So that's 3 squared plus the b squared. The b squared is, now we need to rearrange this so that b is the subject of the formula. So we have b squared is equal to 5 squared minus 3 squared, and b is equal to the 25. The 25 minus the 3 times 3 is 9. We have to do 25 minus 9 is going to be 16. That is going to be 16. And if we were to find the square root of both of these sides, that b would stay alone, and this would have to be square rooted. So the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 16 and 4, and your final answer is A. So those were the 4 questions. Those were the 4 questions, the most common mistakes in the quiz. Let's look at number C. Well, number C was a little easy. Well, for the answer for number C, the answer for number 7, the answer for number 7 was actually B. The answer for number 7 was B, which would be a value of 13, and the answer for 13 was for number 13 was another common mistake, and the answer for number 13 was A, and that would be the sign of X. Okay, so those were the common mistakes. You guys can look at this video over so that you know which ones are, how to fix your mistakes.